Día de la Independencia de México. Durante los últimos 15 años hemos estado viviendo juntos como una empresa para celebrar el Día de la Independencia de México. Celebrar el Día de la Independencia es muy importante en cualquier país. En Estados Unidos celebra la independencia de Inglaterra el 4 de julio y México de España el 16 de septiembre. En ambos casos, muchas personas dieron su vida por para que ustedes pudieran ser países independientes. Imagínense si eso llegara a suceder hoy en México o en los Estados Unidos. Como hemos hablado en los últimos años, lo que está sucediendo en México. Este Día de la Independencia de México, quiero hablar acerca de 3 cosas importantes que están en la mente de todos los mexicanos. Lo importante de no olvidar de la independencia, de entender el significado de la guerra civil interna contra los carteles. Y por estos pocos meses, cualquier conversación sobre el patriotismo de México va a implementar a Donald Trump. En inglés decimos esta frase: el elefante de la habitación. La cosa que cada uno está pensando, pero es demasiado sensible para hablarla. Probablemente soy mejor investigador que la mayoría de ustedes y eso se lo debo a ustedes para darles algunas ideas. ¿Qué significa realmente?
Ahorita ustedes sí sabes poquito de mí, dice en inglés. Está bueno. Yo dice en inglés, yo le gusta de gente de más o menos español, maybe aprender poquito. For 15 years, we've been celebrating Independence Day together for Mexican Independence Day, and I couldn't be more proud to come out and help celebrate Mexican Independence Day. I think it's very important. Celebrating Independence Day is very important in any country that gains independence. The United States celebrates independence from the country of England on July 4th, and Mexico from Spain on September 16th. In both cases, many people lost their lives, many people died, mucha gente muertos, for our independence. And I think that is incredibly, very important for us to recordar, for us to remember all the time. Imagine what a war would be like today in either of these countries if that kind of a war broke out in these countries. It is very different to think that way. As we've talked here over the last several years, it is happening now in Mexico in the civil war against the cartels. The Mexican Independence Day, today in Mexican Independence Day, I want to talk about 3 different things that I think are important for us to understand. The importance to never forget Independence Day, to understand the significance of the cartels, and as Ricardo said, in English, we use the term, the elephant in the room. No discussion about Mexican politics today would be complete without talking a little bit about Donald Trump, and I think everybody wants to know what is going on with Donald Trump. So we did a little research, and I want to share some thoughts about that with you about Donald Trump. As I said, it's the elephant in the room. It's a thing that most Mexican people are thinking about when we talk about politics, but maybe we're not talking a lot about it, and we want to bring a little bit of light to how that's going. And what does he really stand for, and what does it mean, so that you can be a little more informed about what's going on. So those are the 3 topics we're going to cover: independence, cartels, and a little bit about Donald Trump.
Ok, vamos a hablar de la independencia. En primer lugar, el Día de la Independencia es muy importante para todos nosotros reconocer lo importante que es tener un país gobernado de forma independiente. Independencia proporcionada por la capacidad de las personas en el país para seleccionar a los líderes y tener una voz. En México ha sido muy difícil debido a la profunda corrupción. Pero en el mundo actual la comunicación es tan abundante y fácil que los buenos líderes surgirán. Al igual que la corrupción policial de los Estados Unidos, es más difícil con las cámaras. La corrupción política es cada vez más difícil en estos días. Por eso han sido mejores elecciones en México. Todavía no es perfecto, pero se está moviendo en la dirección de un gobierno adecuado. Sin embargo, los mexicanos tienen que abandonar el miedo, no rendirse, sigan pidiendo un gobierno bueno y honesto. Pasarán muchos años, pero es como debe ser. Un buen gobierno debe apoyar la igualdad y un sistema legal adecuado. Un buen gobierno apoya la vida humana apropiada. El buen gobierno desalienta a los tramposos y codiciosos. Yo los animo a ser agradecidos a aquellos mexicanos que lucharon por la independencia y que le dieron su vida para tener un país libre. Honremos a los padres anteriores de México mediante el apoyo a un gobierno adecuado y bueno en México.
As I said, first of all, we're going to talk about independence, three things that we'll talk about. We'll talk about how important understanding and celebrating independence is, and I think it is very important. I'm glad we're all here today. Independence provides all of us an opportunity to be free and select our leaders and have a voice locally. We do not want to be governed from somebody in Spain or Europe or something like that. We want to be governed by people that are local, so we have a voice in what happens within our countries. In Mexico, it's been very, very difficult because of the corruption that has happened both in government and in all of Mexico. It's been very difficult. But in today's world, communication is important. And there is a lot of communication. It's faster. Communication is much faster these days and everywhere. And just as the police corruption in the United States that we see, and we see all of the issues with police corruption, the communication level and the cameras are getting much, much better, and corruption is starting to be visualized. And that will help. Over the past 16 years, the Mexican elections have been much better. And I think that's important. At all times in history, it's difficult. When you're in history, it's very difficult to see that something significant is happening around us at the time. But there is. Right now, this time in Mexican history over the last 2 decades and the next 10 years is very important to what's going on. And you're living through these times, and it's important, I believe, to look around and see what's going on. The Mexican people have a little bit of a tendency to give up on things. Oh, it's never going to change. And that's not true. Things are changing. There's a lot of people that are working very hard to change things. Good government should support fairness and proper legal system. Good government supports proper human life. Good government discourages greedy cheaters. I encourage you all to be thankful that Mexico has fought for its independence and continues to strive in the last 20 years for a good government. They are pushing hard for a free country. Let's honor the previous fathers of both of our countries, both the Thomas Jeffersons in the United States and the people in Mexico that built both of these countries. Let's take a minute to honor these people as we celebrate an Independence Day in Mexico.
En la segunda parte vamos a hablar sobre los carteles. Los carteles son como la mafia en Chicago en 1985. La gente local creía que no había manera de estar libre de ellos y que era inútil cualquier cosa. El gobierno de México está por detrás del gobierno de los Estados Unidos. Pero ya desde Vicente Fox ha sido divertido el impacto. Todavía es muy malo, pero con el tiempo se está mejorando. Los carteles son opresivos y matan a personas inocentes. Mientras que la población local no puede hacer frente a los carteles, las personas deben votar por líderes que lo hagan. El voto es privado, pero el resultado va a cambiar las cosas. Las personas pueden enviar un mensaje a través de sus votos. Mientras los carteles sean grandes, México no tendrá una nación fuerte. Y ahora que todo el mundo está pensando, pero que muchos no quieren hablar. Ahora vamos a hablar de algo que la gente todo piensa, pero la gente no quiere hablar.
The cartels are similar to the mafia in the 1930s in the United States. And the local people thought in Chicago, this is never going to end. This is the way it is in Chicago in 1935. I think the Mexican government is about 50 years behind the government in the United States. This is my view. And it took about 15 to 20 years to get rid of the mafia in places like Chicago and New York. I think that eventually, over a 20-year span, the cartels will begin to subside in the government, just like they did in Chicago in the 1930s. It took about 20 years, and I think we're going to see, now that the Mexican government is pushing forward, it might take the Mexican government 30 or 40 years. We're 20 years into this. It might take them about 20 or 30 or 40 years. But they're moving forward, and I think that's a very good thing. The cartels are oppressive, and they kill innocent people. And it's not a good thing. While the local people cannot stand up to the cartels, because they'll just get killed if they stand up, if they voice. But that's exactly the way it was in the mafia in Chicago. It's a duplicate. Let's look back at history and see how that happened and how it will work in the future. Voting is private, but the results change things. Understand and send people the message that you want to send them through the votes in Mexico. The open borders of the neighboring country in Guatemala to the south are very open, and they're very hard to control. And that's not a good thing, the way the borders in Guatemala are so open. There's a free influx of people. As a matter of fact, 30% of the people that cross the United States border are coming from south. They're coming from Guatemala. 30% of the people that cross the border to the United States from Mexico, 30% of those are from South America. That's how open the borders are in Mexico. As long as the cartels are big, Mexico will not have a strong nation. It's very important to control them.
Okay, vamos a hablar de Donald Trump. He hecho algunas investigaciones reales. No puedo decir que Donald Trump es bueno para el pueblo mexicano, pero te puedo decir que no es tan malo como los medios de comunicación hacen que se vean. La pared o el muro, como le llaman, eso no es una idea nueva. En el 2013 Obama y los demócratas promovieron un programa de seguridad en la frontera de $35 millones. Cada país quiere y debe tener fronteras seguras. Este país necesita fronteras seguras y los demócratas y los republicanos quieren fronteras seguras. Los mexicanos les gustaría tener tráfico procedente de Guatemala. Sin embargo, los mexicanos están haciendo muy poco para controlar la frontera. Esto está alimentando una gran medida de tráfico de drogas y el crimen en México. Los cruces fronterizos de Estados Unidos, desde México en Estados Unidos, están hasta ahora proviene de un tercio de Guatemala y otros países de América Central. Querer asegurar las fronteras no es nuevo. Todos los políticos estadounidenses están de acuerdo para asegurar la frontera antes de cualquier reforma migratoria pudiera suceder. No tiene sentido comenzar un plan de amnistía o cualquier otro camino a la ciudadanía antes de asegurar las fronteras de los cruces ilegales. A medida que se aseguren las fronteras, los salarios subirán para los mexicanos y para los estadounidenses. La frontera serán aseguradas pronto. Trump o Hillary trabajarán en ello y la frontera será asegurada. Este es el siguiente paso y es bueno para todos. Demasiado grande es el problema y todos ellos están de acuerdo. Trump acaba de decir una gran cosa acerca de que México pague por ello. Hacer que México pague por ello, ¿cómo? Subir las tasas más altas del paso de la frontera, subir el costo de las visas, incluyendo visas H-2B, los impuestos sobre dinero enviado desde Estados Unidos a México, el aumento de los impuestos sobre los productos mexicanos que entran a los Estados Unidos.
So now let's talk about something that's on a lot of people's minds these days, and that's a little bit about Donald Trump. Very controversial, you know that. I've done a little bit of real research I studied his immigration program to prepare for some discussion with you, and I looked at many other people who have comments on this topic. I cannot tell you that Donald Trump is going to be good for the Mexican people. I tried. I wanted to say that to you, but I cannot. Donald Trump is not the best thing for the Mexican people, especially the Mexican people in Mexico. But he's not as bad as the media makes it out to be. When you really look at the facts, he's not as bad as the media makes it look to be. The wall that he wants to build, everybody makes a big deal out of that, and he got a lot of publicity over that, but the wall is not a new thing at all. In 2013, the Democrats and the Obamas and the other side and the Republicans put $35 billion towards securing the borders and building a fence, a large fence. This is not new, but Donald Trump is getting a lot of press over the fact that the wall is such a big deal. Every country wants and should have secured borders. And there's a big deal over that, but I don't quite understand why that's such a problem to have secured borders. We talked a little bit about Mexico and the influx from Guatemala, and I think that Mexico should have secured borders on the south and secured borders on the north. And I think the United States should have secured borders. To that point, what is happening without the secured borders is that Mexico has a lot of drug trade from the south. As I said, a lot of the people that are coming into Mexico are coming straight up to the United States. That tells us that there is a very large influx from the south. And that's largely fueling the drug trade in Mexico. So that has to stop, and Mexico needs to secure its southern border before Mexico can start to become strong and stop the cartels. Cannot stop the cartels as long as you have an open border on the south. Same thing's true on the north. All U.S. politicians agree, not just Donald Trump, but all U.S. politicians agree on every side to secure the borders. He's somebody that's gotten a lot of credit for it, but the Democrats, Republicans, Hillary, Obama, everybody believes that you have to secure the borders. I would like to see an amnesty program or a program that is leading to citizenship or green cards. I think that that's an important concept in our immigration reform program. But if you think about it, nobody would say, let's start amnesty while we have open borders. Everybody should understand securing the border before we start an amnesty program is necessary. There will be no amnesty program anywhere until the borders become secure. I think Donald Trump will get that done. Another thing that secured borders will do is all of the pay scales will start to rise. It's very difficult to compete when we have open borders and cheap labor coming in. Everybody here knows that I try to make sure we can raise our pricing in paying our people. I want the price of our wages to go up. That's one of my personal goals in our organization. As long as our competitors continue to get cheaper labor, we're stuck. As soon as the borders become controlled, wages will start to go up for our people who are here with H-2B programs and the likes of that. I believe that the borders will be secured soon, as soon as the federal government stops fighting about who's going to do it. But it does need to be done. Trump or Hillary, they both want to secure the borders. I do think that Donald Trump would get it done. I think that's one of the things that he will do is get the border secured. Then that'll be a great thing and it'll lead to Mexico. He also wants to help Mexico secure the southern border. Trump's made a big deal about Mexico paying for it, and there's a lot of controversy and people don't know, what does that mean? How is he going to get the money? Where's it coming from? I did a little research on some of that as well. So where he plans to pay for the Mexican wall, so that you know, and you can discuss this with your friends, higher border passage fees. Anytime that any of us cross the border, one way or the other, those fees will go up. It'll be more expensive. Higher visa fees. That means to us higher H-2B fees. So the H-2B programs will go up. They'll be more expensive than they already are. That's not a good thing to our company. It's very difficult. But we have to look at all of the things and weigh them out and understand. But there will be higher fees. A lot of you wire money to Mexico. There will be a tax on wiring money. When you go down to wire money, the banks that you wire them through, that will be taxed. That's part of the fees to pay for the wall. Increased taxes on Mexican products coming into the United States. Ford has a plant in Mexico. They'll be shipping cars, General Electric, refrigerators, things that are made in Mexico will have higher taxes on them. Increased fees on high-ranking officials in the United States. Mexico has ambassadors in the United States. There will be fees on top of those types of people. Like I told you, I can't tell you that Donald Trump is going to be fantastic for the Mexican people, but these are some of the things to understand.
Vamos a seguir hablando sobre cómo Donald Trump está proponiendo pagar el muro. Parece que nomás se está promocionando, ¿no?
No. Maybe.
También va a aumentar las tasas en los oficiales, cuando ya ven como los consulados mexicanos, todas esas personas, les va a aumentar los taxes a ellos, les va posiblemente ahorita ellos pagan muy poquito, ahora él está proponiendo subir todos esos taxes a ellos o aumentárselos. Además, Trump dice que no quiere un camino a la ciudadanía, no habrá ningún camino hasta que las fronteras sean seguras. Trump no va a conseguir todo lo que él quiere, pero creo que su partido, los republicanos, consideran un camino a la ciudadanía o al menos a la residencia legal. En un principio, Trump caracterizó a todos los mexicanos como gente mala. Sabemos que no es cierto y ahora se está echando hacia atrás con esta posición. Creo que es una cosa buena tener a alguien que va a escuchar algo lógico. En el 2013, el Congreso de Estados Unidos votó para aumentar la patrulla fronteriza en $35 millones. Las ideas de Trump no son diferentes. Quiere aumentar la seguridad. Quiere eliminar personas con antecedentes penales. No estoy seguro de si se trata de delitos graves o multas de tráfico, pero sí, sin duda, los conductores ebrios se irán. Él no va a defraudar a los 12 millones de personas ilegales, posiblemente, pero él quiere tener una fuerza de tareas, quiere hacer un grupo especial para ir a los criminales mexicanos. En resumen, todo el mundo quiere asegurar las fronteras y eso es lo bueno para todo el mundo, incluyendo México, pero tendrá que lograr que se haga. Quiere aumentar los cargos relacionados a las fronteras para pagar la pared. Él quiere aumentar al servicio de migración y crear un grupo de trabajo especial para deportar a criminales mexicanos. No estoy seguro qué nivel va a ser, a qué criminales va a sacar. Trump también quiere proporcionar ayuda y asistencia médica para atender a los carteles mexicanos. Las políticas de Trump están diseñadas para elevar el nivel de vida de todas las personas en Estados Unidos, incluyendo las personas ilegales en Estados Unidos. Se da cuenta de que estos salarios suben, que elevarán los salarios y las normas para todos. Y eso va a ser bueno. En la lucha histórica de la independencia, las personas que lucharon para la separación fueron consideradas radicales y extremistas. A veces las cosas buenas vienen de pensamientos extraños y extremos. Tanto los Estados Unidos y los gobiernos de México son tres ramas del gobierno. Trump no puede hacer nada sin la aprobación del Congreso. Creo que los políticos de hoy, el día de están sentados en sus manos. Creo que va a ser bueno tener un líder que empuja a los políticos a tomar decisiones. En pocas palabras, son tres prácticamente los que gobiernan. Está el Congreso, está los senadores, son tres cámaras diferentes. Bueno, son dos cámaras y el presidente. Prácticamente por eso dice que son tres los que gobiernan a un país. Prácticamente si una cámara no aprueba una ley, el presidente que lo quiera hacer no lo va a hacer nunca. Es lo que le está diciendo.
As I said, Donald Trump openly does not support a path or a way to make people that are illegal to get them legal. He does not support that. Realize, though, that under any administration, there will not be a path to citizenship or to legal status until the borders are secure. But I don't think Trump is going to get everything that he wants. I don't think Donald Trump is going to get everything that he wants. He is going to be with Congress, and the Republican Party will push for some path to citizenship. They're not going to deport 11 million people. He's not going to get his way on that. I also believe that he better than anybody else will secure the borders, and it'll take about 4 years for us to get to the next level when we're starting to talk about amnesty and citizenship. Probably by then, there may be another president, and the next president will push this path to citizenship or amnesty. In the beginning, Donald Trump characterized all Mexican people as very, very bad people. He's now backed off of that, and somebody has talked to him and he's gotten a little better logic. He understands that all Mexican people are not all bad people. Trump's ideas, as I said, are not very different than most of the other politicians. He wants to increase security. He wants to remove people with a police that have a police record. So one of the things that he wants to do in his programs is increase the task force for Mexican people that are illegal. So there'll be a whole separate task force that will go out to try to apprehend people that are criminals, Mexican people and other illegals and Syrians, and any nationality where there are proven criminals. What I don't know, what I don't understand, and he has not said, is what's a criminal? Is somebody that ran a red light or has a speeding ticket? Are they going after those people? Or is it at the drunk driving level? Or is it at somebody that has done harm to another person? I don't know what level he'll go after, and none of us know that at this point. He just says, I'm going to get a bigger task force and we're going to go after people that have committed crimes. But he hasn't defined what level of crimes. In summary, everyone wants secured borders. All the politicians want secured borders. Maybe not everyone wants secured borders, but all politicians are in favor of secured borders. Your wages will increase to a more fair wage for you. And I think that we're in a place where we need to select somebody that can move those agendas forward. He wants to increase border-related fees. We talked a little bit about that in this, so the summary. He wants to increase the ICE and create special task force. Trump also wants to provide assistance to Mexico to stop the cartels and to improve the southern border. Trump's policies are designed to raise the standard of living of all people. Whether you believe in it or not, I believe from an economic standpoint and a social standpoint, some of his policies are to raise the standard of living of all people and the wages. So in overall summary, in the historical fight for independence, the people who fought for separation were considered radicals and extremists. I don't know if you know this, but George Washington was considered a massive extremist. Nobody believed in many people did not believe in what he was doing when George Washington was separating the country. Those types of things happen with leaders that are looking to do something significantly different. George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Ben Franklin, Alexander Hamilton, those guys were radicals. People looked at them like they are looking at Donald Trump today. They weren't people that were conforming. Both the United States and Mexican governments have three branches of government. Trump cannot do anything without the three branches, without the approval of Congress. I think the politicians of today are sitting on their hands, and I think it'd be good to have a leader that pushes politicians to make decisions. It's not going to be good on every level, but it's not. But I don't think it's as bad as everybody thinks it is. And yes, I do have a political message. These are my personal opinions, and I want you to understand that. You know, let's enjoy Mexican Independence Day. Let's try to understand what's going on about us. We are in significant times. Let's try to understand that. We live free, and we live better than 4 billion other people on this planet. 4 billion other people. There's about 7 billion people, and about 3 billion of us live in freedom, and the other 4 billion live in oppression. And we should be happy that we have people that have stood up for our rights in the past. So, happy Mexican Independence Day, and we've got some food here now.
Oh, you're not? Hold on.
No va a ser como yo estaba diciendo, no va a ser bueno para todos los niveles si él llega a ganar la presidencia. Pero como él dijo, Tomás, esa es su opinión de él, no es la mía. Pero él piensa que tampoco no es tan malo como parece. En total, vamos a disfrutar de la independencia de México en este día. Este es el momento en que necesitamos apreciar a los padres del país que lucharon por nuestra independencia para que pudieran tener un país libres. Vivamos libres, como él dijo. Hay 7 billones de personas en el mundo, 4 billones de personas están todavía no son libres, están como Norcorea, casi el mayor país los rusos, en África, viven todavía sobre un régimen que no son libres. Vamos a disfrutar de nuestra independencia. ¡Viva México!
¡Viva! ¡Viva México!
Más ganas.
Wait a minute. 1, 2, 3. Viva México. 1. One more time. 1, 2, 3.
¡Viva México!